Paying for DNA testing for an entire litter of French Bulldogs can be very expensive, sometimes crossing well over the $1,000 mark for dogs that ultimately you won't own past their first few months. Breeders know this is an extremely important step to helping them price the puppies appropriately, so today we're going to talk about how you can save hundreds on the DNA testing process and potentially pass this savings on to your clients. So please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my page as I bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information out there when it comes to French Bulldogs. What's up, guys? I'm Aaron with Frenchies. DNA testing is a big part of the French Bulldog breed, and its popularity amongst owners continues to grow as more companies spring up that offer this important service. I have several videos talking about the importance of getting a DNA test for not only health reasons, but also to help you price pups, pick potential studs, and predict future litters. It's essential to my planning process. My extensive knowledge of DNA and French Bulldogs is something that helps me save hundreds of dollars on DNA tests, so I definitely wanted to share that with you all today. A previous video of mine that you can find by clicking on the link above is a perfect prerequisite to this one, as it'll give you the foundational knowledge that will guide you through the rest of this video. As you can see here, the colored collar system that I used to identify the puppies in a previous video is also transferred to the animal genetics website that I used to order my tests. There are other companies that do this, but for the purpose of this video, we will reference animal genetics. But after watching this, you can use the same tactics to help you save with them as well. All right, so let's get right into it. We are going to head over to animal genetics, already logged in, and I want to show you guys what it would cost. Here's the litter here. 5 different puppies. I just say the color and the year to make it simple. And we're going to go up to order now. And we're going to select each dog here. So this test for this dog. And we'll just go through and add this full panel with disorders for each animal. Right now, Animal Genetics does not have any discounts. They normally will send a 25% coupon in the mail or through my email. In this case, that coupon actually expired the day that my litter was born. This is why I deal with Animal Genetics as well. I called them on the phone, let them know that my litter was born that day. And if you guys remember from a previous video of mine, I said I got the due clause removed and I was going to send them. So a little more information on that. You want to make sure that you, as you order DNA tests and use their kits, that you always order another one so you always have them on deck. Well, that kit, when it arrives in plastic bags, and you really can't send DNA through plastic bags, specifically something like that decomposes. So they reference some paper bags that you would want to use for something like that. So I just went ahead and got rid of the due clause because I couldn't send them at the time, and I waited a while. There's a method to the madness as to why I would wait. A lot of that has to do with the visual fluffy. So it takes a few weeks to know, and there's no information out on this that's for sure. My puppies are now 3 weeks, and I know for sure that I have 2 full visual fluffies. So when it comes to that, I'll explain it to you guys later, but that's going to help you save money as well. So as you can see, this comes to a total of $1,025, and because it's multi-animal, they're giving you a discount, $922.50 to get full panel tests for all 5 puppies. This is what I'm talking about, guys. Pretty unaffordable. As we get into, well, how do we save money? Let me go back here and just get rid of all of this. I'm going to take this out and show you guys how I save money on the test, because I don't need all that. You guys already know all of my dogs are DNA tested. So was the stud that I chose. So going back to the videos that you can reference by clicking on the link above here, DNA is absolute. So if you have 2 dogs that are combined, have 2 copies of 2 recessive genes, for example, both dogs have 2 copies of the dilute gene. So I know there's a 100% chance that every single puppy has the dilute gene. I don't need to test for that. The owners, when they get the puppy, the new owners, when they get rehomed, they can go ahead and test for that again if they want a full DNA profile. But I'm not going to pay for that because I know that the puppies all have 2 copies of the dilute gene. So it doesn't make any sense to pay that kind of money to save just to be getting the test to have it on there when you already know what they have. Same goes for all of the health deficiencies that French Bulldogs can have. I'm not going to pay for that when I know that my dog is 4-panel health clear on all 4 of the major tests, and so is the stud, which gives each puppy a 100% chance of being clear as well. Remember, guys, DNA is absolute. You can play the probabilities of everything with other stuff, but when it comes to absolutes, if both dogs have 2 copies of a recessive gene, each puppy has 2 copies of that same recessive gene. That's the way it works. So we're going to go through here, and I'm just going to pull up the DNA for each dog so you can kind of see what I'm referencing when I go through here, so I can show you exactly what I'm going to order. Okay. So the blue collar dog is the lilac with tan points that I have. So this particular dog, what I don't know for sure about this dog is all I'm going to order. I know that this dog has 2 copies of dilute, has 2 copies of cocoa, has 2 copies of tan points. It switches up a little bit for the Merle dogs because obviously they're Merle. You need 1 copy of Merle, which is a dominant gene, for them to show the Merle. There's 3 Merles and 2 lilac tries here. So it's going to vary a little bit. So just follow me here. So I'm not going to order the full test for these puppies. What I'm going to do is worry about the ones I don't know about. So the B locus, because the stud of the litter had 1 copy of the B locus, which is Rojo or testable chocolate. I'm going to test that in all of the puppies because I won't know if they have it or not. I'm really looking for 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 of these puppies to have that 1 copy of testable in them or Rojo, because that's going to be very important as to how I price that puppy going forward. So we want to make sure that the B locus is tested for. Again, we know that Coco, the D locus, is 100% in all the puppies, so I'm not going to test that. The stud also had 1 copy of the E locus, so I'm going to make sure I get that tested for as well. The puppies have the 2 tries, lilac tries, have the copy of the S locus, and I can tell because they have white on their chest. You're going to have some spotting if they get 1 copy of pied on them. If it's 2 copies of pied, which is not possible in this litter because the mom doesn't have any pied in her at all. These dogs got the 1 copy of the recessive gene from the stud. So I'm not going to get that tested as well. It visually shows in those dogs. I'm not going to test that. And then I'm going to get the hair length tested as well. Because the mom has 1 copy and the stud has 1 copy, I know that they don't have 2 copies of that because it doesn't show visually. I did get 2 of those in the litter of 5, which is beating the odds. So I'm happy about that. What I want to know here is if that dog carries a copy of the long fur allele. So that's 1 dog. And I'm just going to go through here for each puppy and explain. Purple is a Merle dog. So I don't need to test for Merle. I'm not going to test for pied. I'm not going to test for the D locus, Coco, and which one am I thinking about? So the B locus here, I want to get tested again. And the E locus, I want to get tested for. And the same thing with this one. I don't know if this is a long fur allele carrier or not. So I'll add that. Red. Red is the lilac tri that is clearly a visual fluffy. So I'm not even going to pay for the test on that because I already know it has 2 copies of it. So this one you can save a little bit here by just getting the B locus and the E locus. So what that's going to do, if this is a full fluffy that kind of carries the full gambit, if this is a carrier, this is a potentially very, very good stud to have because this dog with the right female will be able to produce all the new shade Isabellas, all of the full fluffies. And as far as big rope goes, no, there's not a test for it. But what you will know in the next couple of weeks is if that dog is a big rope or not. I can't tell yet, but in a couple of weeks, you should be able to tell by the snout if it's a big rope. So potential for this dog is to be a visual fluffy that carries a copy of Rojo and a copy of Cream. So what you get from that with the right female is you get a dog that can produce the entire gambit. So everything besides the peak albino that's out there right now or koi, this dog will be able to produce it. So a potential good stud, and you can price that dog appropriately for any potential buyers out there. So just going through green. This dog is the Merle that is also a visual fluffy. Big dog, big fluffy dog. I'm going to get the B locus tested in this one and the E locus as well. No need to test for long fur. That dog is clearly a visual fluffy, so we're going to pass that up. And then the last dog here is the female. So this is the Merle female here. Doesn't look like she's a visual fluffy. You can kind of tell if a dog is a visual fluffy between 7 and 14 days. Between the first 2 weeks of the dog's life, you'll be able to clearly see when they're visual fluffies. Again, that information is not available out there, but I'm telling you here, from my experience, that's what it is for them. So we're going to do the B locus, the E locus. So Rojo and Cream, we need to test in all of the dogs. Obviously, we know she's a Merle. We're not going to test for that. And then the long fur allele. So the L locus. So that brings us to all 5 dogs. Instead of paying, what was it, over $1,000, close to it after the discounts, which you have here now, if we're checking out, just a kind of a summary of what we're testing for. All dogs get the B and the E locus tested for, and the ones that are not visual fluffies, I want to test for the L locus or the long fur allele to see if they're actually carriers or not. The math says that one of these dogs is probably not a carrier at all because you had 1 copy from the mom, 1 copy from the dad. But keep in mind that I had 2 fluffies and the math said that I would only have 1. So the math is just giving you a probability, guys. And as you can see, got this price down to $380. So again, Animal Genetics is actually going to honor the 25% off coupon that they had for me because my puppies were born on the same day as the last incentive that they had that ended. So I'll end up saving another $95 on this, which gets me to under $300 for the total price of this, as opposed to, you know, whatever price I showed you guys before. That's a significant decrease. And you can take that $700 to $800 that you saved and reinvest it back into your business. We'll talk about that in a future video, what you need to reinvest in to make sure you're saving yourself the most amount of money, whether that be a stud fee or equipment for your dogs that you're spending a lot on. In my case, it might be a progesterone test machine. I spend an inordinate amount of that money throughout the year with several dogs that have tests. You know, I'll run the ROI on there and see if it makes sense. And it's probably going to make sense as the next thing I invest in. But plenty of things you can reinvest into your business. The more you invest in this business, the more return you'll get down the road, as long as you're doing it smartly. But I did want to show you guys this. All right, guys. So this is the part where we actually put this into action. We have our test kits here. Make sure that you order test kits. I ordered another 8. I only had 2 left. I like to have at least 10 on deck. So it was about time I got some more. So the mouth swabs, like I told you guys, because the other blood kind doesn't really work for me anymore, I'm not going to send off the dew claws. Now that we're dealing with Fluffy and some things that can show up in a few weeks, in order to save money and make sure we price our puppies appropriately, I'm going to wait a few weeks, recognize if I got Fluffies or not, and then I'm just going to do the mouth swab and take some DNA that way. So we want to take the mouth swabs out of the package and then sit them on a paper towel, nice and neat. And then we're going to fill out the information on the packet with the dog's name that you have in the system for Animal Genetics, along with the order number and the date, to make sure we're not poking holes. It's really important that you take those swabs out first so you're not poking holes in the package. Then you're going to mouth swab the dog, and then you're going to place them back neatly in there and then seal them with some tape like the directions say so. And just as an extra step for me, I put those back into the envelope that I have with the order number on there to keep them all together, keep everything packaged nice and neat. And then I do not send these by the regular mail. I want to make sure I get them there and do it right the first time. So in the morning, I'm going to head to the post office first thing in the morning and get them sent off priority. That way I know everything is everything when they get it. Increases the chances that they got everything they need, and I can get my information back in, you know, sometimes 5 days, sometimes it's 10, but somewhere in that window I will receive the information and then I'll share it with you all.